the beauty of what I'm going to talk to you about in this interview is that almost all of it is just going to be reminding you what you have said and asking you what you meant. Your position about that story is that it was a joke, okay? I want to come to something else you said. This is where you talk about Jews, women, and blacks.
This is so funny. And Fuentes' response to it is even funnier.
Take a listen.
They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
Okay. Would you like to clarify what you meant there?
That's all true. That's 100% true. Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, all of them?
No, for the most part.
What does the most part mean? What percentage of American blacks would you like to see in prison?
Whatever the percentages of the murderers. I think it's 1 in 20 black men will commit a murder in their lifetime. So maybe let's say that 5%.
Oh,
I don't think it's 1 in 20. I don't think it's 1 in 20. That's an insane number. I don't think it's 1 in 20.
You're talking about black people who murder people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But you didn't say that.
That's
you just said
problem.
blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. You didn't clarify that you were talking about black murderers.
Right. No, you're right. That's a good addition to that.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of clips of this. It's pretty funny. It seems like it was getting ready to go off the rails when I was watching it at that point in time. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But
Elon Musk said on his X platform that you're a Fed. You're a paid up hire of the government. Is that true?
No.
100. You've never worked for the government in any capacity.
I've never talked to federal law enforcement. And actually, I've testified to that fact under oath when I was subpoenaed by the Congress. People leave that part out. But I got subpoenaed, I think, in January 2022, I think it was. And I was deposed by the subcommittee, the House Select Subcommittee on January 6th. And they asked me, did you speak with any federal law enforcement? And under oath, I said, no, I've never had contact with them. I've never turned over devices. So no, absolutely not.
There's been footage that's come out again this week. This is you at the January the 6th riots. Let's take a look.
Riots.
It appears we are taking the Capitol back. Keep marching and don't relax, never relax. Break down the barriers and disregard the police. This Capitol belongs to us now. The police are evacuating the Capitol. Politicians don't relax. Scurry out of the people's house.
So you're heard there shouting down your loud hailer, break down the barriers and disregard
that was
the
Nick
police.
talking in the
Capitol
megaphone.
belongs to us now. What did you mean by that?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The Capitol belongs to the people.
Disregard the police. So you don't support law and order.
No, I support law and order, but on that day, the police were brutal. The police killed somebody, Ashley Babbitt. And, they were throwing people off of the rafters. They killed multiple people. So
when disregarding the police is the first step to anarchy, isn't it?
Well, I think the first step to anarchy is when the government rigs the election, which is what happened. That is when the government loses its legitimacy and its enforcers, consequently, do also.
That was actually a good answer. That was a good answer.
There is no evidence the government rigged the election.
There's plenty.
You're a bright guy.
Well,
there's plenty.
Let's talk about it. You want to talk about the election of 2020?
Yeah. I think Trump lost it fair and square. I think he fought the wrong argument about the stolen election. I've said to him, to his face,
I agree.
The argument he should have said is that the deliberate suppression of things like the Hunter Biden laptop scandal from the media, by social media, by big tech, was actually a deliberate attempt to subvert the result of the election. And that's a much better argument because it's undeniable. When the New York Post that had that exclusive were basically shadow banned off all social media for the 2 weeks before the election, that was an absolute disgrace. And if I was Donald Trump, I would focus on that as being my main argument that that election was slanted against him. When he goes off into saying that there was widespread rigging and voter systems were wrong, we've litigated all this now through various court cases. Various Republican judges have ruled there was no rigging of that kind. In fact, the American election system is accepted by most people around the world as being one of the best in the world, one of the most reliable. So I just think he fought the wrong argument. If he said the deliberate suppression of damaging stories to the Bidens, which could have swung the election, was outrageous and unacceptable, I'm 100% behind him. But by building this spurious argument that it was all rigged through voting systems and so on, he lost me.
Well, I agree about the voting systems, but when they went into the machines, I think that was ridiculous. However, what has to be accounted for is that in 2016, 35% of the votes were cast by mail. By 2020, it was 70% because of the pandemic. So you doubled the amount of votes that happened by mail. They called it in-person early voting. They called it a variety of different things. And the other thing that they changed is they solicited the mail-in ballots. So,
and look, man, look at this right here. Look at these numbers. Biden got 81 million votes. Nobody believes this shit. You can come up with the scenarios as how, and I do think mail-in ballots absolutely played a part in it. This is a bullshit. Nobody actually believes that Biden really got 81 million votes. Okay? We all watched it. We all watched it the night of the election. We witnessed it. We watched them shut everything down. We watched them shut it all down and go, hey guys, it played out. 2020 played out exactly like 2016. Trump was surging, and all of a sudden, they shut it all down. We've never seen that before, ever. We wake up the next morning, and suddenly, Biden has skyrocketed to the lead. And you're like, what? It's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, they sent ballots to people's houses. And once you do that, I mean, you have absentee balloting normally, but it's a process. You got to give your social security number, your ID. They send it to you. There's regulations in place. This is an election where they double the amount of mail-in votes, and they sent ballots to people's houses. And when you do that, you break the chain of custody. So they send the ballot out, and then they tell people return it at a 24-hour ballot drop site that's unsupervised. There's thousands of them, and they're going to hope that all the ballots that find their way into these drop boxes were filled out by the person that the ballot was intended for. And I know that didn't happen. I'll tell you why. My uncle has been dead for 26 years. He got a ballot in 2020. It was mailed to my parents' house. And that was happening in nursing homes. That was happening in apartment buildings.
But you also know that every independent body that has looked at this has concluded there was no widespread rigging.
Oh, fact checkers, guys. The fact checkers on Facebook told us that all of these things are not true. Yeah, the corrupt system of the government, the same corrupt system. Hey, guys, we investigated ourselves and found out we did nothing wrong. The fuck are we talking about, Piers?
That it was a free and fair election, and Trump lost. And the bottom line is he should stop going on about it anyway, because he won back the White House in 2024.
Well, hold on just a minute. And I don't know what Nick's going to say here, but Piers, you're saying he should stop talking about it, but he ran on that and he won in a landslide. So clearly the people responded positively to him running on 2020 being stolen. So why should he stop talking about something that clearly helped him succeed once again and do something that we have never seen in our lifetimes in political history? Why should he stop?
By your, as you have been so keen to tell me, move on, right? No one wants to look back too far.
That's a separate argument. I mean, you can say that he should stop talking about it, but whether it was rigged or not is actually relevant to what happened on January 6th, because what happened on J6 is people were outraged about it. People were furious that By the way, there's never been an independent ballot audit in all the states where there was alleged to be rigging. That has not happened. And certainly it did not happen up until January 6th. And people said, this is ridiculous. They're stealing it. You know, there was that
people,
red
honestly,
mirage.
if either you or Donald Trump or anybody else.
Why was it someone just asked Piers? Why does someone say, Piers, can you explain how Joe Biden got 81 million votes? Can you explain that? How the fuck did that happen if this was a free and fair election? Why did Joe Biden get more votes than anybody in history? Can you explain that logically? Can you make that make sense to me? You can't. You cannot make that make sense.
Else wants to show me. I said this to him when I interviewed him last. You know, if you show me the actual hardcore, incontrovertible evidence, then great. I've never seen it. Joe Rogan asked him. He didn't produce it with Joe Rogan. It's just never been produced. But look, I don't want to labor the point on that. So I suppose the more interesting question now, as your influence rises in the conservative movement in America, and there's a lot of splits going on amongst MAGA over a number of issues, and about you, and you know this, is your split with Trump irrevocable? Do you feel now, as we head towards the year of the midterms, that it's time to now look to who his successor will be, and who do you think that person should be?
Well, it's not irrevocable, but I am very pessimistic about this administration. And succession is something that I've been interested in for as long as I've been doing this show. And I think it's very clear that they are grooming J.D. Vance to be that successor. And by they, I mean Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, Peter Thiel. There seems to be an organization that was put in place roughly around 2022 when Peter Thiel was very active in the midterm elections. He spent, I think, over $30 million.
Yeah, so Fuentes does not like J.D. Vance. He's been against J.D. Vance for a while now. So he's very much against him.
15 million for Vance, 15 million for Masters. Spent a lot of money in a lot of other congressional races trying to unseat the Republicans that voted for impeachment in 21, and also building out a media market, building out a patronage network, funding things like Passage Press, Sovereign House, a number of other projects to create sort of like a self-contained media ecosystem. And Vance is clearly the selected nominee. That is who the interests want. And they've been pushing for him very strongly. So I think he's the heir apparent right now. There's a forceful push. I've heard good things about him. I've heard bad things about him too. And where I think it needs to go is I think we need to return to the message from 2016, what Trump said in the first election, which is we need to drain the swamp. We need to get the money out of politics, the super PACs, the special interests, put America first in foreign policy and the wars, close the border and deport the illegals, and reindustrialize America, bring back manufacturing, bring back jobs. We're in this Cold War with China. We need America to have productive capacity again. We need America to have wealth. So I think whoever is going to bring us back to that, that's who I'm going to support. And I haven't seen enough from Vance yet.
You called J.D. Vance's wife a Jeet. What does that mean?
It's a slur for Indians.
Why would you use that?
Well, you want the honest answer?
Because you're a racist?
No, there's actually a different reason. The reason why I said that, if you watch the whole show, did you watch that whole show, by the way?
No, but you've admitted you use that slur. I'm just curious why you would use that about a woman with her heritage.
I'll tell you, there's a really important reason why, and this is why context matters. If you look online at the people that are supporting J.D. Vance the most, they are racist. They're racist also, let's say. And they look at someone like myself. I don't support J.D. Vance. And they say, you're brown. You're a third worldist. They are gleefully participating in the cruelty. You could say the performative cruelty of the Trump administration. They say, you're going back. You have 100 days until you're being deported. You're going in a crystal. And then they tell us to vote for J.D. Vance. And so all I did on the show is I said, you have basically racist chuds that post memes about Indians all day on Twitter, memes about third worldists and Palestinians even. But then they want to turn around and support a guy who has said on Twitter, how dare you say I'm racist? I have non-white kids and I'm in an interracial marriage. And all I said is that's I just said that's a little ironic. I said that's hypocritical. And Vance is going to have to explain to all of his supporters who have gassed him up as the real, the real mass deportation candidate. He's going to have to explain to them what's going on with that. What is with the contradiction? Because
and you
it is
don't
a
feel any
contradiction.
accountability for the millions of young people that will hear you use that
Yeah, that was not a good answer at all.
slur and think it's fine to use it.
No, I think
Okay.
that's ridiculous.
Okay. Let's take a final break. I come back with a little kind of summary of.
So there's that. If you guys want to go check it out, they're still live over there. But I just wanted to kind of see what the latest was. It seemed like it was going to go off the rails earlier. It seems like maybe they've, kind of brought it a little less contentious, I guess, but whatever.